welcome back to my channel. So in today's video I made this jumbo Yakult squishy. This has taken me like 4 days to make, which is crazy, but I wanted to make it really big and really cute, so I've put about 20 layers of paint on here, and yeah, I just love how it turned out. So if you want to see how I made it, just keep on watching.
Okay, so to start off with, I took a block of memory foam and I just cut it in 4 with a Stanley knife, and then using my scissors I just went all the way through to cut them into 4 separate bits. I then glued them together using some PVA glue. You can use fabric glue if you want, or hot glue, whatever you have, but I basically just poured a whole load of PVA glue and spread it out into a nice thick layer, almost a bit like butter, and layered like each layer of the foam on top of each other so that it created one big thick block. I left this to dry like for a full day, but it didn't actually set all the way in the middle, so later on, like when I kind of went to cut it, it did kind of prise apart a bit, but then after like another day of drying, it did completely set. I did leave my tape dispenser on top of it to like weigh it down a bit, but it didn't really do much, so yeah, that's down to you whether or not you do that. But basically, once all the layers of sponge like together had dried, I then went ahead and drew out the rough shape of a Yakult with a permanent marker. And then taking some scissors, I just went ahead and hacked away at that long kind of tower of foam and just kind of shaped it into a Yakult shape the best I could. Now, it's not exactly the right shape, but it was as best as I could do because this shape was really hard, and especially cutting through all these layers of foam, it was really tricky with these scissors. So yeah, I definitely need some new tools. So if you have any tools like to suggest or anything, leave that down in the comments down below, as I would be really kind of intrigued to know what you use to cut your foam with, because I know a lot of you guys out there also make squishies too, so you know, help a girl out. So I then went ahead and I drew like the bits where the indents had to be on the Yakult bottle, and I just marked this out with my permanent marker and went in with the tips of my scissors to kind of like mark out the bits I wanted to cut off, and I just cut away the bits of like the inside of the indent first, and then using my scissors I just rounded off the edges to make it look like it was kind of indented. I didn't do a very good job of this, but I did really try, and it did take me quite a few hours to get this shape right, which I'm not kind of proud of saying because it still didn't turn out perfect, but yeah, it took me forever. So the next bit I went ahead and did was I noticed there was like a flat bit before like it rounded off at the top. So I just went ahead and marked that out with my permanent marker again, and using my scissors kind of flat down, I then made sure to level it out kind of flat all the way around. And then I really focused on the top, making it nice and kind of like beveled, just like the original Yakult body was. Bottle. I then went ahead and just smoothed out the whole entirety of the shape, and I spent a good hour doing this. I mean, I probably spent about 3 hours in total shaping it, which is insane, but that's exactly what I did. I probably definitely almost certainly should get a new tool to cut it with than these scissors and save myself a bunch of time. I then went ahead and just covered the whole entire shape in a puffy paint mixture, which I just mixed up with PVA glue, puffy paints mixed in, and some shaving foam. And I did between 10 to 15 layers, I think, of that colour, which was insane. And it took me 4 days. 4 days. I then realised on my very last layer I left the lollipop stick on it. As you can see, I was then pulling it off and it made a big mess, and I was like, you know what, I'm not putting any more layers of paint on this because this is ridiculous and I've already spent way too long doing it. So I just went ahead and left that little mark there. But anyway, I went ahead and then painted on all the details. I started with the cap at the top using some red puffy paint mixture just left over from another project. And then moving on with a smaller paintbrush, I then went ahead and wrote out the word Yakult all the way around the flat bit of the lid. I did actually put this on 4 times. I think on the original kind of Yakult bottle it's only on 3 times, but I put it on 4 because my font was quite small. Anyway, once that font was all kind of popped on there, I went ahead with the major logo on the bottom of the bottle, and I just did the 2 kind of curves either side of that, and then the word Yakult again. I just marked it out really kind of lightly with a small paintbrush again, and then built it up to make the font that was actually on the Yakult bottle. And it took about 3 layers of the red to get a nice kind of really thick colour like you can see on the lid here. So I then went ahead and popped some silver puffy paint onto the middle of the lid to kind of like almost imitate foil, but it just was doing nothing and I hated it. So I actually went ahead and got some real tin foil and I scrumpled it up in a ball and flattened it out again, and then I just cut it to size, and taking some Mod Podge, I just smeared that on with a paintbrush and I actually stuck the foil straight to the squishy. I left that to dry and then coated it again in Mod Podge just to make sure that it was really sealed on and wasn't going to go anywhere if squished. It does squish really nicely. It's a bit of a weird texture in your hand, but it squishes with the foam, which is just ideal. Now, you obviously don't have to do this, but I just wanted to do it to kind of give my Yakult a more kind of realistic kind of top. But yeah, you don't have to. I just wanted to because the silver puffy paint just, it didn't look right to me. So I figured I would just go one step further and just stick some real foil to it. So once the foil had completely dry and that second layer of Mod Podge was also completely dry, I then went ahead with just some black 3D fabric paint by the brand Scribbles, and I just went ahead and painted on some eyes with a little open mouth in between because I thought that was going to be the cutest face for this little guy, and it just suits the character so much because it looks so jolly and I love it. So yeah, I just did an open mouth on this one. You can do any face or you don't have to do a face at all if you don't want to, but I just really like that touch and I like to put this face on everything, so I hope you don't mind. So because I am painting it on with a paintbrush, it has gone on quite thin, so I did actually put about 3 layers of the black in total to make it really opaque, and I then went ahead with some white puffy paint and I did some highlight on the eyes. I didn't leave the black dry between layers, I just kind of like layered it on top whilst the paint was still wet, but then I did leave the black dry once I had like the 3 layers on top of each other before I put the highlight on, because sometimes the white can mix in with the black and then it ends up like spreading and seeping and you get grey bits and it just looks all types of nasty. So yeah, I left them go kind of tacky between each layer when I did like just the plain black, and then left it dry and then did the highlight on the eyes. I know a lot of people ask me if like I leave it dry between layers, but that's the kind of order I do for the face. So people always ask me what colour pink I use for the inside of the tongue and for the blush. I actually just mix on my own, so I use the puffy paint from Tulip and I just mix in some red puffy paint into that just to make a really pale pink. I have used like the ready mixed pink ones before from the brand, but it's not very opaque, which sucks when you're trying to put on like a tongue over black because it kind of like shows through and everything. So if this is the case, you might just want to do a few layers of nice thick paint and just swirl it around to get a nice flat finish. As you can see that bit of black there, but I just go ahead and pop a bit more on so that you can't see it through. I also went ahead with the same pink shade and just added it either side of the eyes to make some blush.
Once all the face and everything like that was completely dry, my Yakult was then complete. I absolutely adore how it turned out. Just look at its cute face. It's so chubby. I love the foil on top as I feel like it gives it a whole other like bit of texture and everything. And yeah, I'm really in love with that. I think it looks so sweet with the little face on it. Just look at it. It is kind of bigger than my head, which is kind of ridiculous, but what can you do? I don't know. I just love it so much. I feel like this could be like the perfect plushie or something. I should definitely make a plushie version of this. Yes, I'm gonna do that. But anyway, the squishiness of this is really nice. Like I said, I put about more than 10 layers, I think less than 20 of the paint. It was ridiculous. Like, I've been working on this since about Monday and it's now Saturday. Like, this video has to go up in an hour. But yeah, it's finally complete just in time. I've got the Yakult across here. I've got it all the way around with all the kind of like decoration on the back, painted the bottom and obviously the foil on the top, and the squishiness of it is just like so. Like, hear all that air, and it's so slow rising, which is crazy for a jumbo squishy because sometimes it just isn't slow rising because you don't put as many layers of paint on, but because I put so many layers of paint on, it is really slow rising, which is just great. I love it so much. I said to Tommy last night that this is like a little pet and I want to put a little collar on it and like take it for a walk, and it'll be so cute like my little Yakult pet, but he said it was a bit too weird to show on camera, so I didn't do that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a thumbs up and I'll see you tomorrow for not a DIY because it's Sunday, I have a Samiko Garashi collection coming, which includes a few new bits which I've added recently. So yeah, be sure to check that out and I'll see you then. Bye!